our Princess Tag title match is still in limbo, and the Nagoya show did absolutely nothing to change that. Today we'll cover all the preview matches from that event, Kyoraku Kiyomi's continual refusal to challenge for those tag titles, and an impromptu World Cup match. We'll chat through the crazy Summer Sun Princess press conference as well, and we'll talk a little bit about Hikari Noa's return to wrestling. All that and more coming up on the Tokyo Joshi Pod. Stay tuned. Hello to all you big children out there. Konnichiwa and welcome to the Tokyo Joshi Pod, your weekly dose of everything TJPW. I'm your host, Andy Zyke, and I'm beginning to suspect that we may not have a Princess Tag title match at Summer Sun Princess. Okay, maybe I'm kidding a little bit, but TJPW is really putting some legs behind this storyline of Kyoraku Kiyomi's firm refusal of challenging for these title belts, and honestly, I'm enjoying it. It keeps a matchup of these two very classic TJPW tag teams fresh. It's different. We'll get caught up on all of the latest happenings with that situation, but before I get too far ahead of myself, I do want to welcome you all into today's show. Thank you so much for tuning in each and every week. And if you're new here, a big welcome and a thank you for joining us. There's some interesting stuff to talk about this week. We had a fairly loaded Nagoya show, a bunch of different preview matches on the card. We also have our final spring tour show next week that we're going to preview. Plus, TJPW released the Summer Sun Princess press conference late last week. That was certainly a doozy, so there is a lot to talk about there. Before we get started unpacking everything this week, though, I wanted to share just a few quick housekeeping items. Coming up early next week will be this month's second bonus episode, the Grand Princess 2-6 behind the scenes documentary watch along. Really, really looking forward to revisiting that once again. I really enjoyed it the first time that I watched it, and I'm just really looking forward to experiencing it and sharing my thoughts with you all. That episode's probably going to come out either Monday or Tuesday next week. I'm not 100% sure just yet, but in the meantime, feel free to check out our other bonus episode this month, which talked about the very first ever Hype Produce show. That episode, I was really happy with how it turned out. Always a delight to go back and watch really any of the Hype shows, but that original Hype show in particular is so special. So if you're interested in revisiting that show or reliving it a little bit, go ahead and check out that bonus episode on your feed. I also had a few of you reach out and ask me about the TJPW trading cards that I had posted on social media earlier this week. These are a part of the 2026 BBM Women's Wrestling Card set. It's also filled with like a variety of other promotions in addition to TJPW. There's a lot of freelancers in there as well. I think the only absent promotions are like Stardom and Marigold. But like Sendai Girls is in there, Marvelous, JTO, Diana. I mean, you name it. There's a number of different Joshi wrestlers in this card set. The downside of this is that these are only sold in Japan. So you either have to use a buying service or just kind of poke around on eBay a little bit. There's plenty of listings on eBay. You just kind of have to like search for a good deal. I guess that's just eBay in general, right? That's how I ended up getting my boxes. I got them on eBay. I got a pretty good deal for them. They came super, super quick. I live on the West Coast of the United States, so maybe that plays a factor. But I had a great experience getting these on eBay. Obviously, there's an upcharge. That's just how these things work. They're only available and there's a high demand, right? So people realize that they're going to upcharge them on eBay. More or less, one box costs about $100 US. And that's like the easiest, or not the easiest, but like the best deal, I would say. But there's like 160 cards in a box or something like that. And then each box actually comes with 2 authentic autographed cards as well. So you do get a couple of signed cards in there. And then if you're lucky, one of those autographs will actually be a signed Checky photo. Those are like super, super limited edition. I lucked out. I got a Yuki Aino Checky, so I was really excited about that. And then I also got a Mizuki autographed card. So you never know what you're going to get if you're interested in those boxes. I had a lot of fun just kind of opening up the packs. I'm not a huge collector or card opening type of a guy, but I really enjoyed it just because I'm so passionate about this type of wrestling and obviously TJPW, right? Doing the TJPW show. But I had a lot of fun just kind of getting the box and opening up the cards and just seeing familiar faces. It almost brought me back to like when I was a kid and I would have like baseball cards and basketball cards and all that. So that's my little 2-second blurb about that if you're interested. But we have so much that we're going to talk about today, so I don't want to waste any more time. Let's go ahead and dive on into the news of the week. Some big time news around the horn here. Let's start with some announcements and updates that we have for Summer Sun Princess. We will talk about the press conference in just a second, but before we get to that, Summer Sun Princess, we know a new match that has been announced. Just to set the table here, Summer Sun Princess will be in July on Saturday, July 18th. So about 3-ish weeks, give or take, away from that. And this year, Summer Sun Princess is going to be at Corcoran Hall. We already knew our 3 main title matches, Suzume defending the IP title against Wakana Uehara. The Princess Tag titles, Daydream may or may not be defending against Kiraku Kiyome. We'll get into all that. And then the Princess of Princess title, Yuki Arai defending against the ace, the leader, Miyu Yamashita, in a huge, huge matchup for Yuki Arai. Speaking of huge matchups, there is also a special singles match on the card. Arisu Endo has drawn the unlucky stick, and she will be going one-on-one with Aja Kong in what is sure to be a barn burner of a match. And then the latest match that was announced just this past week is Shin Sakura Hirota's match. Sakura Hirota is going to be a part of a 6-woman tag. On her team, she will have Himawari and Mifu Ishida, and the 3 competitors that they will be taking on are Raku, Pam Harajuku, and Chika Nanase. Quite an eclectic tag team match here. I know that Chika has put something out on X. Not really too thrilled with how she got caught up in all of this insanity. Chika is definitely more of a straight-laced competitor compared to Pam and Raku and certainly Sakura Hirota. We'll have to see who Sakura Hirota decides to cosplay. I think any of the 5 women in this match will be a delight. So I'm really looking forward to that. I'm really looking forward to seeing Sakura Hirota's match. Remember, this is her TJPW debut as well. In addition, we also know that Mirai will be on this show. We don't yet know her match. Just my luck. They are going to announce it between my time of recording this episode and the episode releasing, but so it goes. There are also a few competitors that will not be at Summer Sun Princess. That list includes Shina Suzuki, who is still out indefinitely, Kira Summer, who will be touring Australia starting on July 18th, and then Fumirin has also been announced as missing Summer Sun Princess due to other scheduling conflicts. I think it is the perfect time to just jump into the press conference that was posted for Summer Sun Princess. There was a whole lot of insanity. This was certainly a press conference that really went full TJPW compared to some of our more recent press conferences. We'll start with the Princess Tag title match and just kind of get that out of the way. Of course, this match is allegedly set to feature Daydream defending against Kiraku Kiyome. They have reverse nominated Kiraku Kiyome as their challengers, but Kiraku Kiyome have basically wanted nothing to do with this match. They have firmly refused, their words, challenging again for these titles at Summer Sun Princess. Daydream doesn't really care about any of that. They've been trying to corral them with the Sasumata polls. We are returning to that storyline once again. Well, the way that all of this played out at the press conference is that Kiraku Kiyome decided to boycott the contract signing in protest. Or so it appeared. They were not at the table when the press conference started. Daydream was seated there. So Rise Shirai was like, all right, well, we'll just get Kiraku Kiyome to sign this at a later point, and we'll just have Daydream proceed and sign and give their comments. So that's basically what they started out here doing. Rika Tatsumi gave some comments first. She said that last year's Summer Sun Princess match holds a very special place for her as one of her favorite bouts, one of the best bouts of 2025. That is an exact rematch of what we're hoping to see here, Daydream, Kiraku Kiyome. Although last year, Kiraku Kiyome were the tag champions, Daydream were the challengers. Rika continued, though, and said, last year Daydream lost that challenge, and she wants to avenge that this year by defeating Kyoraku Kiyome. Miyu Watanabe gave her comments next. She echoed that same sentiment. She said that Daydream and Kyoraku Kiyome have such a strong history that it really makes her sad that Kyoraku Kiyome is boycotting the press conference today and that they want nothing to do with this match. A member of the press asked Daydream what they thought of this boycott, and they said it's pretty lame, but there's still plenty of time to stop this boycotting nonsense. We have about 3 weeks, maybe 4 weeks at the time that this press conference was held before Summer Sun Princess, so they're not too worried about it. We then had a question from an unknown reporter who was named Hasegawa from a magazine called Monthly Throwaway German, and they asked if Daydream had any sort of like secret weapons that they were planning to use against Kyoraku Kiyome. Rika said that she's always someone who tends to fight with her head, and secret plans remain just that, a secret. Smart answer from Rika. Miyu again echoed Rika, said that their tag moves are starting to get stronger and stronger, but they are kind of keeping everything under wraps. They don't want to give away the secret sauce, if it were. That same reporter then asked if their new tag team finishing move from their V1 defense would be considered one of these secret weapons that they're working on, and Daydream agreed. They ended up labeling that move the Daydream Believer. That is the combo missile hip and teardrop from Daydream. We then hear from another mysterious reporter, someone at a paper called the Daily Hero newspaper, who asks if Daydream are going through like any special training to prepare for Kyoraku Kiyome. Rika again said, you know what, that too is going to remain a secret. It's just in our best interest not to share some of that. These two mystery reporters then just started really peppering Miyu with questions about her strength training, how much she can bench press, which 150 pounds if you were curious. They then ask why Daydream is so obsessed with Kyoraku Kiyome to the point of threatening them into this match, and then they very sternly ask them to list 3 things that they like about Kyoraku Kiyome. This was all getting a little odd, and I think it's worth pointing out that these reporters were wearing hats and sunglasses inside and just seemed to be disguising themselves a certain way. One of them was quite short. One of them also appeared to be wearing a mask underneath the hat, the brim of the cap. Maybe I was seeing things, but the reporters then start to get really aggressive. They stand up and they actually confront Daydream up at the table, and they ask why they think they can win this year after losing the same match last year. Rika Tatsumi, being Rika Tatsumi, was like, enough of this. There's some sort of a game here, and she decides to rip off the hat and the sunglasses, and wouldn't you know it, it's Kyoraku Kiyome, to the surprise of literally nobody in the room except maybe Rise Shirai, who was quite shocked to see them here. Misao pulled an audible. She launched a cold spray attack. Shoko ran over to Rise Shirai. She flicked her in the forehead. Kyoraku Kiyome end up stealing the match contract, and then they leave saying, this is a match will never happen, and especially it's not going to happen now that we own this signing document. Daydream didn't really know how to proceed, so they just said that they'll see them in the preview tags. The really funny thing about all of this is that Kyoraku Kiyome kind of have a point. They very politely said, hey, we like the fact that you nominated us, but we just don't think we're ready yet. And while they were explaining the reasoning behind why they don't want to be the challengers, they were forcefully attacked and coerced into maybe not saying yes. They were basically held at Sasumata point and in a very uncomfortable situation. And that's just continually what has happened. They've repeatedly said, we don't want anything to do with this. Like, please stop bothering us. And Daydream just keeps attacking them with these Sasumata polls saying, no, we really want to face you. They are kind of obsessed with Kyoraku Kiyome. So I do think that Kyoraku Kiyome has a point here. We'll have to see how this plays out. You know, in all seriousness here, I do think this match will go along. I think we just are having a very creative way of getting to it. And like I said in the intro, I'm really enjoying it. It's something fun. It's something different. It's been very, very enjoyable to kind of chart this through the house show loop, through the social media posts, the YouTube posts as well. So I've been quite enjoying the pathway or the journey on the way to our destination here. Next, we did have the Princess of Princess contract signing between Yuki Arai and Miyu Yamashita. Yamashita said that her favorite thing about Arai is how her eyes convey this fighting spirit. And last December, In the match where Yamashita beat Arai in just a matter of seconds, she said that she saw no fire in those eyes, and that's why she was able to defeat Arai so quickly in that December show. In the new year, at the number one contenders battle royal, the two bumped into each other again, and Yamashita said, at that point, I saw Arai's fire, and I loved the intensity in her eyes, and that's partially what made me succumb to that very deadly scorpion hold, and that's the Yuki Arai that I want to see one-on-one at Summer Sun Princess. Arai said when she debuted in TJPW, the top of the card featured Yamashita winning this very same belt, and that always left a very strong impression on her. She equated Yamashita as a champion who pulls TJPW along, and she said she's always wanted to face her with the title on the line, but she never imagined in that scenario that she would be the champion, Arai. She wants to show everyone that Yuki Arai has changed, that she continues to change, and she wants people to start viewing her as synonymous with this championship belt. Yamashita had a few more comments. She praised Arai's title reign up to this point. She said Arai has become stronger, more reliable since winning this belt. Arai admitted that she has had a little bit of anxiety because she's never beaten Miyu in a singles match. That's probably a very light way of putting someone's mindset going into a singles match with Miyu Yamashita. But she did say that she has begun to feel like she can start throwing everything that she has built so far into this upcoming championship match. Lastly, we did also have the contract signing for the International Princess title match between Suzume and Wakana Uehara. Wakana was the first one to get started here. She stated that she wants to try various exotic foods from around the world, and on that list of foods is bee. And she was being 100% serious. She was also equating it to Suzume here metaphorically, but she was being 100% serious. She started to describe all of the ways that people around the world eat bees and how much she loved to fry up Suzume and eat her whole. She was very, very upset that Suzume was poking fun of her on X by posting this passage from the book The Very Hungry Caterpillar about getting a stomach ache. But Wakana said, no matter how much my stomach hurts, I won't stop eating until I've completely gobbled up Suzume and the International Princess title, and I have transformed from a very hungry caterpillar into this beautiful butterfly. Suzume then responded by saying, honestly, Wakana has always been this beautiful butterfly to her, very sweet, but then she kind of stopped and was like, dude, you want to eat bees? Like, what the F? That's so weird. She did vow to retain her title because this International Princess Championship is a meal too big for even Wakana to finish. Wakana explained that after losing the Princess Tag titles, the International Princess title became her clearest goal because she wants to be the one to help bring TJPW around the world. Suzume acknowledged that Wakana has grown since her Princess Tag title run, but says that she has absolutely no intention of letting her guard down given the size disadvantage between the two competitors. This segment ended because one member of the press was ridiculously smart and asked the $5 million question about how Wakana stays in shape eating so much. And Wakana said that she actually, most days, only eats one meal per day. She typically will skip breakfast and lunch, and then when dinner rolls around, she'll basically eat whatever and however much that she wants to. Occasionally, she said that she'll eat like a salad or chicken or vegetables during the day, but that's very, very rare. I absolutely loved that someone asked Wakana this question because this is the question that I think is on every single person's mind. How the heck are you eating so many calories and such a huge quantity of food and still staying in shape? Like, you must be working out every single day. And I'm sure that she does that. She didn't mention working out here, but absolutely sure that she works out every single day. But it was really interesting to hear that she's like a one meal a day person. I would think that like your stomach still shrinks in that way. I don't know the science behind it, but I thought this was super, super interesting. Just knowing the kind of lore and the myth that is behind Wakana and all of this huge eating these huge portions. This to me was probably the most interesting part of this entire press conference. If you would like to watch that press conference for yourself, it is posted up on the TJPW YouTube channel. In addition to that press conference, we have some other pretty big news. Just this morning, I'm recording this on a Thursday, TJPW announced the bracket for the Tokyo Princess Cup, the 13th annual Tokyo Princess Cup. Now, we don't know any of the participants just yet. We only have the graphic for the bracket. All of the participants are going to be announced at a later time. And then what they typically do, TJPW, is do like a random drawing, and that's how they pair up all the people in the first round. But looking at this graphic that TJPW has shared, this is awesome because this year is the biggest Tokyo Princess Cup to date. There are going to be 24 talent participating in this tournament. I don't know if that means all of these slots will be filled with TJPW talent. If it does, that means that there are 2 roster members who will be left out. There's 26 roster members on the TJPW roster. Maybe they leave out, Shino might not be ready in time. Maybe Shion Kanzaki because she's the most recently debuted. Maybe they do qualifiers instead, and that's how they determine the 2. Maybe we'll even see outsiders instead. Maybe we'll get like Mirai in this bracket. Maybe we'll get Mei Saruga or Kakeru Sakaguchi. Maybe Aniki will make a return again, former Tokyo Princess Cup winner Aniki. There's a lot of possibilities. I really hope that they announce the participants before Summer Sun Princess. I'm unsure if they will or not. The way that the timing is going to work out, Summer Sun Princess is on Saturday, July 18th, and then the Tokyo Princess Cup kicks off on Monday, July 20th, because Monday is a holiday over in Japan. So I'm really hoping that they announce the participants prior to Summer Sun Princess and not on that Sunday that's sandwiched in between. But we'll just have to wait and see. I'm very, very excited. Of course, we're going to do a full preview of the Tokyo Princess Cup, regardless of when they announce the participants. We might have to do like a bit of an emergency show if they do it in between, but definitely keeping my eyes peeled, and we will certainly run through all of the participants once announced. Before we get too far ahead of ourselves, though, with July and August talking Summer Sun Princess and the Tokyo Princess Cup, we do have a show to review that took place just this past weekend on Sunday, June 21st, TJPW's Spring Tour 2026, Next Door in Nagoya. This show was live from the Chunichi Hall in Aichi, and it ran a little over 2 hours, a little bit on the longer side, about 2 hours, 15 minutes, but you'll start to see why as we begin talking about some of these matches. There were 2 absent competitors here. Himawari and Mifu Ishida were unable to make this show, both due to scheduling conflicts. I said last week, I think Himawari had some sort of a stage play or a production that she was a part of, and then I did see that Mifu posted something related to her cultural ambassador duties, so perhaps these 2 just had some other commitments outside of wrestling. There were 444 people crammed into the Chunichi Hall. That is a sellout. That's always great to hear. The last time TJPW was at the Chunichi Hall was actually for their spring tour in 2025, where they drew 426. So about 20 or so more people this year. Also worth noting that last year's spring tour show was the debut of Ren Kanatsu, and also there was a number 1 contenders match on that show for the Princess of Princess Championship as well. So a little bit of a bigger show last year than this year, but we had a higher attendance. So that's great to see that the attendance is growing, especially as TJPW ventures out into other places outside of Tokyo like Nagoya. We opened up with Rise Shirai giving some remarks in the house rules. Then the Up Up Girls came out, and today's song was Kawatsuyo Challenger. Our opening contest was a tag team match. The Prism Greed duo of Yuki Aino and Haru Kazushiro took on the thrown-together pair of Toga and Chika Nanase. Toga started this one out in control of Haru. Then Chika came in, tried to go shoulder to shoulder with Yuki Aino, which didn't really work out for her. That allowed Prism Greed to take turns in control of Chika for quite a prolonged stretch to get us going. Toga found her way in, briefly went on the attack against Aino, but Aino, being the veteran in this match, she managed to outsmart Toga, ended up hitting her with a gut-wrench suplex. Haru and Chika came back in, trading some blows. Haru locks in the Izuyoi, which Toga has to jump in to break up. Prism Greed then take Toga out with some tandem offense, and Haru manages to hit a fisherman's suplex on Chika to get the win for her team in 10 minutes and 13 seconds. Next up, we had a 3-way contest, Pam Harajuku versus Mihiro Kiryu versus Sakura Hattori. Now, as we all know, it is World Cup season, so Mihiro Kiryu brings a giant inflatable soccer ball to the ring with her. She ends up giving our referee for this contest, Daisuke Kiso, she handed him a couple of yellow and red cards for him to use later on in this one, just in case anything got a little too out of hand. No surprise, Sakura wants nothing to do with this from the start, and she ends up punching the ball into the crowd. Mihiro was so upset, so Sakura and Palm start out double-teaming her. That's pretty short-lived. They quickly turn on one another, with Palm hitting a Lafayette Harajuku onto Sakura. Mihiro was absolutely PO'd, and she starts beating the crap out of Sakura. She just wanted to play some soccer, that's all. Palm would occasionally interrupt, just further ticking off Mihiro. Mihiro eventually gets Sakura in a crab hold, but Palm finds the soccer ball and just chucks it at her to break up the crab hold. Mihiro's dude, no, this is soccer. You can't use your hands. And then she proceeds to show Palm and Sakura how to play. She puts Sakura in the corner, in the red corner, in goal, quote unquote. Then Palm and Mihiro take turns kicking the ball at Sakura, and Sakura uses her ninja skills to block literally every single shot. Mihiro is so upset that this is not going her way, and she starts accosting Daisuke Kiso, who pulls out a yellow card, and he says, "You've had enough, you're in a timeout." I don't think that's quite how it works in soccer. I made that up, but he did pull out the yellow card and say, "You are now warned," I guess is what a yellow card does. I'm really showing my lack of soccer knowledge here. Mihiro eventually does score a goal, quote unquote, after she tricks Sakura to come out of the goal, the corner, and Sakura's like, "Whatever, dude, this is wrestling," and then she just rolls up both Mihiro and Palm, and she gets the win at 8 minutes even. Like I said, I don't know the rules of soccer all that well, but I'm pretty sure what went down here is not how you play a match of soccer. Next up, we had another tag team contest. Mizuki and Uda Takami were teaming together. They took on a very interesting pairing of Yuki Kamifuku and Raku. Worth noting that Kamiyu had her new gear on for this show, so maybe she'll start rotating between her old gear and her new gear a little bit more often. Mizuki and Uda start out on the attack until their speed gets the better of them. Raku and Kamiyu are able to hit an Oyasumi Express. Very elegant Oyasumi Express at that. Uda then starts to take a very lengthy beating at the hands of both Raku and Kamiyu. She manages to flip out of a Kamiyu Brainbuster, which looked insane, and then she makes the hot tag to Mizuki, who goes on a very quick rampage. Kamiyu and Raku end up having to work together for a little bit, though, to put a stop to that. Things really break down with Raku hitting a facebuster, flurry of Popo chops, and then a guillotine choke on Mizuki. Uda has to jump in to help Mizuki get the upper hand back, and then Mizuki manages to connect on a diving double foot stomp onto Raku. Mizuki and Uda pick up the win at 9 minutes and 36 seconds. We then move out of the undercard, and our next 4 matches are all preview matches for our upcoming title defenses at Summer Sun Princess. Starting off, we had a tag team match where Daisy Monkey were paired together once again. It's been a little while, I think, since we last saw Daisy Monkey, Suzume, and Arisu Endo. They went up against the team of Wakana Uehara and Kira Summer. This is our second International Princess preview tag. Suzume has the victory in the first one, although she did not directly pin Wakana. We get a very brief Wakana and Suzume exchange to start us out before Daisy Monkey start to hit some tandem offense onto Kira. Wakana tags in for a little bit of an exchange with Arisu, where she nicely fights out of a camel clutch, but can't quite get the upper hand. Suzume and Wakana then have a second face-off. Wakana starts to use her size to her advantage. She's able to get the banana pillow in, but Suzume squirms her way over to the ropes. Arisu jumps in for Daisy Monkey to hit a few double team moves once again. Suzume takes the advantage with a top rope crossbody. Wakana manages to block a ring-a-bell attempt. She hits a snap suplex in response. Kira comes back in to continue that size advantage against Suzume, hitting a lot of her power-based offense. Out of nowhere, Suzume hits a ring-a-bell. Wakana has to come back in to quickly break up the pinfall. Those two slug it out with Wakana nailing Suzume with a really nice-looking enziguri. She tries to go for the sushi tornado, but Arisu appears and thrust kicks Wakana right out of the ring. Suzume is then able to hit Kira with a facebuster and another ring-a-bell. That'll get the victory for Daisy Monkey in 11 minutes and 3 seconds. Oddly, we didn't have any after-match extracurriculars or backstage comments for this. I thought that was a little peculiar since this was a preview tag. I didn't see anything posted. I didn't see anything in the transcript, so nothing to talk about post-match here. Next up, we had a singles match, and I used that term incredibly loosely, between Miyu Watanabe and Hyper Misao. This will be our second Princess Tag Team preview match. Kyoraku Kiyome does hold the advantage there 1-0, but again, no direct pinfall on the champions. We do have, because this is a singles contest, we do have a head-to-head record that Misao actually has the edge in. Misao has 3 victories over Miyu. Miyu has 1 victory over Misao, and then they've also tied once. Misao entered the ring with the Princess Tag title contract document, and before the match, she declared that there will be no title match at Summer Sun Princess, and this singles match feels a little too weird. It almost feels like it's a preview match, and she's like, you know what? There's no title match, so what are we previewing? I'm just going to pack up my bag and go home. She ends up walking to the back. Miyu's like, dude, come on. She chases her down, but of course, this is Hyper Misao. This is all just a scheme. Misao quickly returns back to the ring. She starts removing some of the corner posts. Miyu takes her a minute to get back. I think Misao locked one of the doors or something. So Miyu had to find her way back through another door. And once she does get back into the ring, Fumirin finally rings the bell, starts the match. Almost immediately, Misao tosses Miyu back out of the ring and then just continues to remove the turnbuckle pads. She then jumps outside. She starts to wrap Miyu into the ring skirt, but Miyu's like, no, dude, I'm way too strong for that. She easily outpowers Misao and then wraps Misao in the ring skirt instead. She picks up the wrapped Misao and then giant swings her on the outside of the ring and then gets up on a chair and starts flexing and showing off. I loved that. I thought that was a really creative way to get to the giant swing. I love the fire that Miyu is showing, kind of showing off. The showboating is really, really cool. We don't see that from her too much. She started to do it a little bit when she was champion, but it's nice to see her continue to do that more and more. Misao, of course, being Misao, had a cold spray somewhere up her sleeve. She whipped it out, sprayed it into Miyu's face. Misao then hopped back in the ring, continued to remove the turnbuckle pads, and just now, Fumirin started to count out Miyu. Lots and lots of leniency from Fumirin here, let alone Misao here dismantling the ring while this is happening, right? Miyu jumps back in just as Misao grabs a hold of a turnbuckle pad. So Miyu's like, okay, I'll grab one myself. And then they start having a noodle fight in the middle of the ring with the pads. Misao wins, clubs Miyu over the back with one of the pads. She tries to go for the Haipami returns, but Miyu ends up pushing her into a corner. Miyu then charges at Misao, who ducks. Miyu ends up hitting her head on the exposed corner, and Misao is able to roll her up for 3 in 4 minutes and 52 seconds. Yes, this entire thing went by in under 5 minutes. Afterwards, Misao celebrated her tainted victory with the signing document in hand, and then Rise Shirai very politely asked everyone to please hold as they repair all of the damages in the ring. There were some backstage comments, but they were grouped together with our next match, which was another singles contest, this one between the other tag team partners, Shoko Nakajima, one-on-one with Rika Tatsumi. So this will be our third preview match for the upcoming Princess Tag title match. Kyoraku Kiyome up 2-0 now that Miyu was just pinned. We do have a head-to-head record here, and Shoko and Rika have met a whopping 11 times before. Shoko does hold the edge. She has 5 victories to Rika's 3. They've also tied 3 times. Neither one could really get the upper hand to start here. They were trading roll-ups, grappling attacks. Shoko eventually took a breather on the outside after getting choked by Rika. I would too. Shoko, that's a smart move. Rika heads outside to meet her, but Shoko quickly jumps back in. She tries to go for that tope, but Rika is too quick thinking. She chokes Shoko out once again. Rika then slowly gets the upper hand here back inside the ring. She starts targeting Shoko's leg. She pulls her over to the corner. She posts her knee a couple of times on that corner post. She even drop-kicked Shoko's leg right into the post, which certainly didn't feel too good for Shoko. Shoko eventually manages to get a reversal in. Then she hits this really creative 619 using the ring post. Back inside, it is Shoko who goes on the attack, but Rika counters. She manages to land 3 hip attacks and a missile hip off the corner, but somehow all of that only gets her a 2 count. Shoko dodges another hip attack. She tries for a 619, but Rika catches her legs and drop kicks Shoko in the ropes. They continued to trade offense back and forth. Rika landed a twist of fate in the ropes and then a dragon screw leg whip off the top rope, really gnarly looking, before she went and locked in the figure 4. Shoko manages to fight her way to the ropes and then Hurricane Rana's Rika back to the outside. She finally connects on that tope on the second attempt, and as Rika starts to crawl her way back in, Shoko hits a top rope senton onto Rika on the apron. That was crazy looking for a show of this caliber. Rika kicked out of a Northern Lights and then rolls away from another senton. She latches on the White Dragon Sleeper. Shoko quickly jumps back into a roll-up. Rika kicks out, hits another hip attack for 2. Shoko connects on another 619, but Rika kicks out. They begin very quickly trading near falls. Shoko blocks the twist of fate. She tried to go for another Northern Lights. They were grappling with each other, and then the bell rings. 15-minute time limit draw. The very rare TJPW time limit draw. Backstage, both teams were reunited. Misao was celebrating her victory, but Shoko was very, very upset that she drew with Rika, and she ended up snatching away the signing document from Misao, saying, I'm going to hold on to this for now. We'll have to see quite what she has in mind for that. On the other side of things, Rika was upset to hear that Miyu lost her match, and she demanded that Miyu commit to more training. She was trying to help her schedule it using her phone and this app, and she really wasn't letting up. And Miyu was like, dude, I think I'm okay. Like, this wasn't a match that I participated in, but Rika was like, nope, you lost. We're not going to be losers. You better get back in the gym. We finally have our way to the main event of this show, a tag team matchup between our Princess of Princess champion, Yuki Arai, teaming up with Ren Kanatsu. They took on the challenger, Miyu Yamashita, and her partner, Shion Kanzaki. This will be our second Princess of Princess preview tag. Arai did win the first one, although, again, no direct pinfall against her challenger. Now, a little bit of context here for this matchup beyond this being a preview tag. Ren Kanatsu is like a lifelong SKE48 fan, like a super fan of SKE48. SKE48 is the exact group that Yuki Arai was once a part of. So she is very, very much a fan of Yuki Arai. This is the first time that these two are teaming together. Ren marked the occasion in a very cute way. She dressed up her little sheep keychain to match Yuki Arai. The rookies start out. We've seen them square off more than a number of times since Shion debuted, and more or less it was the same thing here. Yamashita tagged in just long enough to punt Ren in the back. She tags Shion back in for her Ganbare spot, but Arai leaped in, tried to stop it. Yamashita had to come back in and just tossed Arai out of the ring, and she demanded that Shion proceed with her Ganbare spot. After the corner attack, Ren managed to swing the tide a little bit in her team's favor. She tagged in Arai, who obviously continues the offensive onslaught against the rookie Shion. Ren tagged back in and just started to fangirl over hitting some double team moves with Arai. She even got enough confidence to taunt Yamashita at one point, which, that went over real well with Yamashita, let me tell you. Arai and Yamashita then head in for their very first meeting of the match, and the early battles here were all in favor of Miyu. She connected on a number of kicks. Arai eventually managed to block one. She locked in the Scorpion hold ever so briefly, but remember, Yamashita has tapped out to that Scorpion hold before back in January in that number one contenders battle royal. Yamashita quickly reached the ropes. The two of them start trading kicks and boots. Yamashita stuffed a full Nelson buster, hit a kick to the back of the head. Arai tried to go for a big boot, but Yamashita caught it, and then the two kick each other at the same time. They end up falling down. The Young Guns tag back in. They're trading drop kicks. Ren gets the shoulder bites submission in, but Yamashita quickly comes in to just punt her in the back again. That brings in Arai, and those two start slugging each other. Yamashita hits a return crush to Arai out on the apron to knock her out here. Shion hits a couple of spinning back elbows and sleeper holds, but let's not forget, she doesn't have a finishing move, so Shion will not be winning this match. Ren manages a drop kick She lines up for the Aries Comet, but Yamashita's back to hoist her up into an attitude adjustment. Arai is quick to follow. She breaks that up. She ends up landing that full Nelson Buster on Yamashita, clearing the way for Ren to hit a Kanatsu crush, and then the Aries Comet for the main event pinfall victory to Ren Kanatsu, 14 minutes and 32 seconds. Afterwards, Ren celebrates winning in the very same venue that she made her debut a little over a year ago. Arai said that it was due to Ren's hard work that they were able to win today, which made Ren start to cry. She said that really Ren is just her otaku at the end of the day, but she was very happy to team with her. Ren was like sobbing at this point, but she thanked Arai. She said that she wanted to both continue teaming with her and one day to fight against Arai. They ended up closing the show, just plugging the return to Nagoya coming up in November of this year. Backstage, Shion expressed frustration, losing to Ren once again. Yamashita said it was also frustrating losing and that she's a little bit wary of that Scorpion lock, but she still vowed to defeat Arai next month at Summer Sun Princess. Arai once again praised Ren. She said the victory was reassuring, but that she still wants to get Yamashita in that Scorpion lock. Ren said that she felt as if she was representing all of Arai's fans teaming with her today, so she was happy that she could get the win. She said that she is now Arai's Angel-chan, someone who will fight, protect, and heal, but that one day she will suspend that role and she will fight Arai without mercy as a pro wrestler. Sheesh, Ren, get a grip. My goodness, sobbing, fangirling, angels, what the heck are you on here? Let's have like a little bit of professionalism here. This is a working environment after all. That's so mean of me to say. The Fancy Sheep here got to live out her dream. This was a pretty solid main event. I'm a little bit more excited for Arai and Yamashita now. I liked that this was a little bit more even-keeled compared to that first preview tag that we saw. I was a little bit less impressed this week with Wakana and Suzume, but we still have a long way to go. I did enjoy their initial face-off last week. The singles matches here, really a tale of two halves. Obviously, the Misao one is full of comedy, and it's quite frankly, it's not really a match at all, but then you get Rika and Shoko, who just ripped for 15 straight minutes, which was a great match. We also got a little bit of World Cup action on this show between Mihiro and Palm and Sakura. Last time I checked, Sakura is only between 2 teams, not 3, but what do I know? So this show like really truly stretched the depths of variety. I would recommend it. I think that the preview matches were all pretty good. The singles match between Shoko and Rika, really quite good for a house show match, not like a bigger pay-per-view style match or a Corkwin match. If you're a fan of the comedy, which I'm sure you are because this is a TJPW show and you're watching TJPW, the World Cup match, I'm just going to keep calling it that. The World Cup match was a lot of fun. The Misao shenanigans, of course, always a lot of fun. So I would recommend this show overall. I think there's a lot to like here and really like I say, the true depths of variety here with TJPW. Coming up this weekend, we have the final stop on TJPW's 2026 Spring Tour in a show that is very aptly titled TJPW Spring Tour 2026 Next Door Final. This will happen on Saturday, June 27th from the Ryogoku KFC Hall. It will be live on Wrestle Universe, but it is a little bit of a later start time. So for us over here in the States, it will be 11:30 p.m. on Friday night, 8:30 p.m. Pacific time. There are no scheduled absences, which is always great to hear. We will have a singles match, 4 tag team matches, and then a whopper of an 8-woman tag match. The singles contest will see Mizuki go one-on-one with Ren Kanatsu. Big time challenge here for Ren Kanatsu, especially coming out of that main event victory that she just scored. This will be a pretty big challenge if she manages to upset Mizuki. The tag team matches are going to see Arisu Endo tag with Shion Kanzaki. They're going to take on Uda Takami and Toga. Prism Greed will be together once again. They're going to take on Himawari and Kira Summer. Rakupam in action. Always a delight to see Rakupam. They're going to take on the team of Mifu Ishida and Mahiro Kiryu. Telling you right now, that's going to be your comedy match of the evening. And then the final tag match, we'll see a very strange pairing of Yuki Kamifuku and Sakura Hattori, they're going to team up together to take on Chika Nanase and Yuri. Yuri coming back to TJPW from Standalone just a couple weeks ago. And this is interesting to me because when Yuri was last here at Standalone, her and Chika squared off one-on-one. Yuri won that match, and then I don't want to say like disrespected Chika because Yuri is the like senpai in this situation, but she definitely tricked her. She went for like the pinky handshake, the pinky shake, whatever, and then like slapped her or something like that. And Chika was so mad. And if you remember, if you listen to that episode, I was like, they do this with Chika from time to time where she gets like really frustrated about something, but then the next week it's just all sunshine and rainbows and business as usual. And here we are, a few weeks later, it is all sunshine and rainbows and business as usual, and Chika and Yuri are now teaming together. They have seemingly made up. Chika has seemingly forgotten the slap, even though she vowed that she will never forget the slap. I mean, heck, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there will be some sort of a story here, or Chika will kind of build upon that frustration, but I highly doubt it. They never do anything with Chika and this frustration, and I say that because I really want them to. I think that they could do something really fun and different and exciting with Chika if they make her into this like shades of gray character. Not full heel. This is TJPW. We don't have bad guys in this promotion, but find a way for Chika to get like an edge to her, kind of level up her character in that way. I'm not saying cheat or anything like that, but just get a little more fire, some more oomph, a little bit more of like an edge to what she does and really, I guess, like channel that frustration. I think that could be really cool. I've been championing that for a long time. I'm going to continue to champion that. I'm very curious to see if they do actually do anything here or if this is just going to be business as usual, a tag team match, and we'll see kind of where the cards fall here. But I do have this one kind of mentally noted here for myself. The other one, probably the big one here on this match, is the main event, a super duper 8-woman tag. This is one of these Ultimate Champions and Challengers preview tags. So on one side, all of our champions, Yuki Arai, Suzume, and Daydream, they will take on all of the challengers, Miyu Yamashita, Wakana Uehara, and Kiraku Kiyome. Kiraku Kiyome continuing to get booked in preview tags, despite not being the bad guys, despite saying that they do not want to do this match. They are being booked against their will, if it were. So to quickly run through each of these, this will be our third International Princess preview match. Suzume holds that 2-0 advantage, although there's no direct pinfall against Wakana. This will be our fourth Princess Tag title preview. There are 2 wins in favor of Kiraku Kiyome. Misao did get that tainted victory over Miyu Watanabe that we just talked about. Then they did have that draw between Shoko and Rika. And then this will also be the third Princess of Princess preview match. Yuki Arai has that 2-0 advantage, but again, no direct pinfall against Yamashita. Seeing as how Suzume has the 2-0 advantage, Arai has the 2-0 advantage, I wouldn't be surprised if one of the challengers wins this match, whether that be Wakana pinning Suzume, maybe Yamashita will finally wake up a little bit and just pin Arai here. I could see them doing that. Of course, there's going to be continual shenanigans between Daydream and Kiraku Kiyome. I don't know if that will factor into like the final, like the pinfall or the submission here. Maybe Kiraku Kiyome picks up the victory and they continue the storyline of like, hey, we're not doing this, the challenge cancellation committee or whatever. We'll have to see. I think they could go a number of ways. This is not our final preview match and by any means. We do have one more show before Summer Sun Princess. And so we're going to get a couple more preview tags there, I imagine. But I'm looking forward to this. I think a lot of tag team action here. Again, that interesting Chika Yuri pairing, that very interesting Kamiyu and Sakura Hattori pairing. And then this super duper 8-woman tag. These super duper preview tags, that's just what I'm going to call them here. They always hit. They are always wonderful. They do it. TJPW has really started to do these quite frequently, but consistently they just deliver. And I don't think that this will be any different. I'm really, really looking forward to this main event. Now, as we shift gears into the graduate and excursion section of the show, not too much on the excursion side of things. We just have those same 2 excursions that we are kind of penciled into our calendars later on in July. July 18th, Kira Summer starts her excursion into Australia. She'll be wrestling for Adelaide Championship Wrestling Heart of War. And then the week after, Sunday, July 22nd, Kitsune is hosting Stay With Me here in Los Angeles. Siri Namba is going to be their MC. They also have Emi Sakura on that show, who has had a cup of coffee in TJPW once in a while. So I'm looking forward to that. I will be going to that, officially confirming that I will be at that show. So really looking forward to that. But the thing that I would like to spend a little bit of time on in this corner is one graduate, actually technically two graduates because they were in the same match. But just this past weekend on Sunday, the 21st of June, Unagi Sayaka held her latest produce show. She kind of does these like once a month now, once every couple of months. This one was called Unagi Kabuki 3rd Anniversary. And this was a very, very special one because as we know, Unagi has managed to convince, or maybe it didn't take too much convincing, but she pulled Hikari Noa out of retirement. Hikari Noa is back in the wrestling ring and officially made her re-debut just this past Sunday. There was a tag team contest here. Hikari Noa and Unagi Sayaka teamed together. They had a pretty formidable opponent, the Ozaki-gun team of Kakeru and Mayumi Ozaki. Now, this match is not yet available for viewing, at least not at the time of my recording. I didn't find it streaming anywhere, so I'm not going to spoil the result. Of course, you can go on to Cage Match or X and you can find out who won this match, but I'd rather just hold on to that until we get a chance to watch this and actually review it and talk about it. So I won't say who won just yet, but I do want to take a moment and just recognize the return of Hikari Noa. Hikari Noa is someone who had really a wonderful career with TJPW that stopped short due to some crazy circumstances, which we're not going to dive into here and now, but it's great that she is returning to pro wrestling. I don't know if she really wanted to retire or if she was kind of quietly asked to retire. That's all I will say about that, but it's just great to see her back. It was very cool to see images of her in new wrestling gear, images of her wrestling, especially alongside fellow TJPW alum with Unagi Sayaka. So really cool. I do hope that this is like a long time return for Hikari Noa rather than just a one-off. If it is a one-off, so be it. Maybe she just wanted to come back and end her career on her terms, but hopefully this is something that she will continue doing. She will continue wrestling. Maybe Hikari Noa will turn up, in Stardom or in Marigold or in Sendai Girls. Who knows? Maybe she'll just freelance. Maybe she'll even come back to TJPW. I think that is highly unlikely. But never say never. You never know. Sometimes things become water under the bridge and you never know. That's all I will say. But my point here is just that it's very, very exciting to see Hikari Noa back between a wrestling ring again. I'm very excited to watch this match once it becomes available really anywhere, just to be able to stream it. And once it does, I do plan on covering it a little bit more long form like we do for some of these graduates matches or excursion matches. So park this match for a little while. I won't mention it every single week, but once it is available to view, I will talk about how you can view it, and then we'll actually go through and talk about the match, talk a little bit more about Hikari, and then actually talk about who wins this match. But again, very excited that Hikari Noa is back. A congratulations to her on her re-debut, her return to the wrestling ring. And from everything that I've seen online, sounds like she had one bang up of a job here. So really, really looking forward to covering this on a future show. That is going to bring us to the end of this episode, though. We talked wrestling, we talked turnbuckle pad fights, we talked soccer, so many different athletic activities that I certainly need some cold spray and some ice packs. But on next week's episode, we are going to review the final spring tour show, and we're going to preview the final show on the road to Summer Sun Princess that is called Ready to Explode. Summer Sun Princess 2-6 on the brink of explosion. It certainly sounds explosive. I'll also do my best to track down that Hikari Noa match if it does get released. I hope you enjoyed the show today. If you did, you can subscribe wherever you get your podcasts so you don't miss any future episodes. You can follow us at Tokyo Joshi Pod on Instagram, TikTok, and X. If you want to email the show, tokyojoshipod@gmail.com. But above all else, remember to keep your hearts burning, stay magical, my friends, and we'll see you next week on the Tokyo Joshi Pod.